It's been really exciting to be talking with the people who are here, who are just so inspiring, and your stories are inspiring, and you know, this is just, it feels like this is exactly where we need to be and the place we need to be, and it's the time for us to be having this very empowering dialogue. And this is sort of a microcosm, you know, of what goes on in a campaign. And if you're wondering what it's like to run for office, this is what it's like. It means having sort of non-stop, really exciting conversations with people about the things that really matter to us in our communities and at the level of whatever office you're running for. So it's really about having, you know, getting down to brass tacks about the crisis that we're facing and what's the blueprint for fixing it. When I first started to run, I didn't have much sense of the party. I had not been a member of the party. And actually I was recruited in order to run as a Green Rainbow Party candidate in Massachusetts. I had never been an active member of the party, and I was a little bit shy about promoting the party and didn't really feel like we had a party to promote at that point. So I was very focused on the issues and the issues alone. When the campaign was over, we were sort of right back where we started. And at that point I began to get why it is that you have to build the party as you build the campaign. Otherwise you are left sort of starting all over again. And I've run for office I think 5 times now. And it does become, you know, kind of one continuous thing, as I mentioned in the plenary session before for those who were here, because running campaigns and building the party becomes, you get how they fit together. So I guess that is the first point to start off with, that building the party is really important, because your campaign is only as good as the party. But it will take the party where it's at, and it will move the ball down the field. So by running a credible and organized campaign, by taking stands on the critical issues, your schools, jobs, taxes, austerity, the expanding war, the drones that are coming to all of our communities. 30,000 drones are predicted in the next 5 years here in the United States, as a matter of fact, unless we stop it, which we will. Yes. You'll find that you have an opportunity to talk about your local circumstances, and even if you're running locally, you can take an issue like drones. It is also, it's a global issue, it's a national issue, and it's a local issue. And you can ban drones from your community, and as communities we can ask our legislators to likewise take a stand to ban drones, or to bring the troops home, or to downsize the military, and all the other things that we need to do. You know, we can take a stand for strong community colleges and for pushing back the tuition and fee hikes at our community colleges and making, you know, making public higher education free. We can be advocates for that and can so instruct our members, our trustees to those colleges. We can so instruct our representatives to the legislature to work for that, even if we are, you know, office holders at the municipal level. Municipalities can instruct their legislators to take positions that have a real impact on our communities. So it's possible, you know, for us to lay out a whole series of solutions, policy solutions, even at the local level. And we change the profile of the party by doing that. So we leave the party with a better image at the end of the campaign by bringing volunteers into your campaign because they want to keep their schools open, or because they want to maintain a public water district and not let the water system get privatized. Whatever the local issue is, you will bring people in on that local issue, and your job, to the extent you can, is to help people connect the dots, because it's very empowering to do that, and to understand that we can insist that our voices are heard not only locally but also at the state level and the national level, and that the Green Party is how we do that. It's how we get to critical mass, how we bring the issues together in a convergent, synergistic way, to be able to enact these solutions. So you can help connect your volunteers to the party. And how you do that is it's kind of a sensitive issue, and you need to have a feel for your volunteers in your community as to when you bring that in. You may have a lot of, you may have supporters who are not Greens. You may have supporters who are Republicans, who are Tea Party members, and who are Democrats. So you'll learn it's a very nuanced subject, and you don't want to go bashing the establishment parties, but you do want to point out the differences between the establishment parties, and I usually call them that, the establishment parties that are funded by the economic elite and which do, for better and for worse, serve that economic elite. And then you have an independent party like the Greens. And by the way, you may find your supporters among the socialist alternatives or peace and freedom. So you just want to think about who's in the room all the time, and remember that the press is in the room often, so the word will go beyond the room, and you always just want to use language that's unifying and that helps bring people together. But that does nudge people towards the Green Party, and you want to be able to stand up and say good things about the Green Party. And it took me a couple campaigns before I learned that I had to do that. If I didn't do that, then you really run the risk of the campaign ending and boom, you're right back where you started. So you are the human face that draws people in. People don't like political parties. They're used to being betrayed by them, stabbed in the back. Political parties are, it's like the worst demon out there. But the Green Party is different. People don't, but still, the reputation for parties is quite radioactive. So you have to be very nuanced about introducing people to the Green Party, but to just make sure that that doesn't get left out, you want to be sure you do that. There are all kinds of other specifics. You will enlarge the database, you will bring in funders. All the things that you do to build your campaign, you can think of the party as the repository for where those things stay alive. So it's not like you've gone to all that work and then just kaboom, you throw it away. It contributes to the building of those databases and volunteer power, etc. Another thing that I have found very useful over the years, well, first let me back up and just mention that when I started running in Massachusetts, we really did not have a functional. We had a little bit of a party, but it didn't really have membership, it didn't have support, it didn't have committees, it didn't have much of an agenda that was recognized, and it certainly didn't run campaigns that were credible. And by running headliner campaigns, our objective was to build a party, and we actually did that. Over the course of 10 years, we actually brought in thousands of people into the party. I know that doesn't sound like much in California. Thousands doesn't sound like very much, but Massachusetts is so tiny by comparison. We dramatically enlarged the party. We brought in a whole crop of credible candidates, and we began to repopulate our party committees. Party committees really matter. It sounds boring and administrative at first, but after a while you realize the committees really are where the work gets done. You can't do it all yourself. You may think that you can, but you will run out of steam, and you can't cover the waterfront. So you need a committee that will work on communications, that will write press releases, that will do your video, and many thanks here to Lisa Kastner for graciously providing her services, and to Sanda, who's doing the same in the other room. You need your communications, you need your membership committees to be out there helping to recruit people, making sure that you have your brochures and so on. You need your candidate committees to know we need strong state parties so that we are training up people long before they have to go through this so they can be the support people for the campaigns, etc. These are the committees that we need to build, and I've actually found it very useful to be suggesting to people out on the campaign trail that they might be interested in one committee or another, or in starting a local chapter. So the future of the movement, you know, like Margaret Mead said, that never doubt the power, you know, of a small circle of friends to change the world. Indeed, nothing else ever has. That is so true even at the level of a party. In my experience, I have found that new chapters will get founded if you have two people in a community who are really, you know, go get them. They're really ready to dig their heels in and get active in their community and get seen. That's what it takes to start having chapter meetings and you know, bringing people in. Or Harrison Wills here at Santa Monica, you know, who really helped build a really active Green Party chapter here at the community college. It just takes, in some cases, one, more often two people to make it happen. So as a candidate, if you help recruit or inspire or energize a couple people who are ready to get going because they get that the planet is in meltdown, and if we wait, it's all over. You know, it's this kind of, you know, really a catch-22 situation. By the time it gets bad enough that everybody, you know, is going to be mobilized about the climate, it will be too late to fix it. So, you know, some people, thank you, some people get that, and they're really out there to start working on climate right now. Or other people have health issues in their family going on, and they get that the solution to the health crisis that we're in right now, you know, is not to cut down our healthcare system, which is what, you know, both establishment parties are doing. And in fact, Obama just last week proposed a whole new series of cuts to Medicare and to Social Security. You know, people will get religion about Medicare for all when they discover that we can actually have that health care for everyone and save us trillions of dollars. In fact, we can actually pay off the budget debt. If you're one of those debt, you know, obsessors, good news. We can fix the deficit and the national debt by moving to a Medicare for all system. So people will get really excited about one issue or another, and they will also realize that we're going nowhere on one-issue politics. Issue politics, I think, were invented to prevent us from building strong coalitions. And I myself was a, you know, I was a victim of that for about 15 years, that I worked on one issue after another. You know, healthcare, and then the environment as a big health issue, and then I went back to single payer, and then I worked on campaign finance reform, and I worked on jobs and minimum wage, and you name it, I worked on that campaign, and I just realized, you know, they've got us running in place here as fast as we possibly can, and we're moving backwards, you know, even while thinking we are running, we're actually moving backwards. The name of the game here is by building a broad coalition across issues. And once you do that, you realize, oh my God, that's what a political party is. It actually is an issue. It's a coalition across issues, across generations, and across geography, and across time. That's what a political party should be. And the Green Party, you know, is that, and we are not bribed out of being that because we don't accept corporate money or big donor money. And that ensures that we will be true to our mandate for people, peace, and the planet. That's how we get to critical mass. And it's this dance between running elections and building the party. Elections are they cast the broad net, and that's how you bring a lot of people in. And you can't be overly partisan during an election because it really turns people off. And a lot of your supporters are not going to be Greens. But you do want to periodically stand up for the party and remind people why you are a Green and that you are running as a Green, and be building the party so that when the campaign is over, you don't lose a step. You just keep going. You know, it's not just running, it's fighting, it's surviving, it's thriving, it's, you know, it is reviving our future and our community and our democracy that can make it happen. So in a nutshell, that's the gist of what I wanted to say to get us started. So I'll pass it over to Laura, and then we'll open up and have some dialogue. Go ahead, Laura.
Okay, thank you. And is this on?
Yep.
Okay, one of the fascinating things that has been happening to me over the past year is that people say, "Oh, I know you, Jill Stein." They've done it, actually somebody did it today. And so I am so flattered, but I figure we're sisters. So there are, you know, the tipping point that Jill talked about throughout her campaign to turn this
The breaking point.
Into a tipping point. It is so clear that that is going to happen. And what makes it so clear is that when you look at the polls across however people identify politically, you know what the poll numbers were against the idea that corporations, you know, about the idea that corporations have too much influence in our government. The poll numbers were like 70%, 80%. They were, you know, they keep being that high because people know that that's wrong. Citizens United was wrong. Corporations are not people. People know that, whether, you know, however they identify themselves politically. And so the corporate was something I learned this morning that I really like, a bunch of things, but one of them related to this was that Sarah mentioned that they're no longer really using the word privatized, they're saying corporatized. And I think that that is something that really will start to cause us to win. When we really make the difference between the corporate candidates, there are corporate candidates and there are people. There are the no corporate money candidates, and that's us. And I hope, you know, when Jill's been talking to everybody, it's like she's talking to each one of you as if you are running for office. So I hope that affirmation comes to fruition. And so it's thinking about running for office, actually, I want to say a couple of little things. And one of them is go to Toastmasters. Join Toastmasters. It's an old-fashioned, formal, you know, parliamentarian kind of thing, but it is mainstream, and it does have people that you can talk to about the Green Party, about these things, and get feedback. You know, that's part of every meeting, and you can do a lunchtime meeting, or once a week, or once every 2 weeks, or something like that. But just consider Toastmasters, both for the fact that it gives you practice, and it gives you practice on impromptu speeches, and you have to time it, you have to hit it, and get evaluation. Plus, it's an opportunity to talk to people who are just in the mainstream, and make sure, you know, get that feedback that you're talking to people like people to people. The other thing is, there was one other little thing I want to say, oh, and that is, so you're all running, you know, for office, for something or other, and run again. There are so many people that have not won the first time, and that people that are household names right now and did not win at first, but they did win later. So run and just don't stop. Is one of the, I got arrested outside of a gubernatorial debate. And the point of this story is that they may arrest us, but they will not stop us. Even though arrest means, you know, arrêter, it means to stop in French and all that, but they will not stop us. And whether they keep us in a warehouse, or whether they, you know, as they did with Jill and Sherry, right? Or metal handcuffs, back of the squad car, dip the head, the whole thing outside the gubernatorial debate, and arrested me for trespassing at a private party. Is that perfect or what? I mean, that is actually what I was doing. Can't wait until it's a public party. Just can't wait. Oh. So what, Mike's bringing the long hair version of Laura Wells.
To show you that she's run. These
Yes.
are very rare, but these are her controller
Yes.
flyers. And just try to pass them around. Just keep it if you really, really love Laura. But try and pass them around too.
But if you don't, you know, like, pass it on. And speaking of long hair, that is another thing. And this is sort of, on my way here, I was visiting with family about an hour and a half away. I thought everything in LA was just LA, but oh no. And I was on my way here and I thought, I didn't pack a suit jacket. I didn't pack, you know, and it really does make sense, as was mentioned earlier, to dress the part. And so I'm just going to serve as, to make lemonade out of lemonade, you know, lemonade out of lemon. See, I'm making it. I'm the before and this is the after. You really should wear a jacket. You know, look the part. It really does make a difference. Now, the no corporate money thing, there have been cracks in the system. And it's very important that we know that there have been cracks in the system. And a system with no cracks in it is very different from a system with cracks. Because once there's a crack, once it starts to open up, you know, whether it's engineering a bridge, a dam, or a political system, once it starts to open up, then it can really, that crack can start to grow. And some of the cracks that we've experienced recently have been in 2012, Jill Stein was on Democracy Now! Real time. That the debate was going on. And then, not just once, but, you know, a bunch of times, and got public funding and, you know, bless you, good luck with all the stuff you have to do after you got that public funding, but it was just like, got on the ballot in so many states. All of those things, those are cracks in the system. The fact that it was at the same time on Democracy Now! Another crack in the system, I live in Oakland, in the Bay Area, and in Richmond is the city. How many of you know that Gail McLaughlin is the Green Mayor of Richmond, the largest city in the country with a Green Mayor? And she's part of, and Richmond has refineries of the biggest corporation in California, Chevron. And so whatever the name of the opponent that Gail has run against, their middle name is Chevron. You know, they are running against Chevron. And they have there a Richmond Progressive Alliance. And it's Greens and Democrats actually running together, pledging to take no corporate money. So they're really making the difference. And they have won. They've won and they've lost, but one recent time they won, was that Chevron put $1 million against them in 3 races. And Chevron lost, and lost. The Richmond Progressive Alliance won. And so those are cracks in the system. We do have some, like Fairfax is a majority Green Party, and they've been majority for years, and there have been other times that there have been city councils that have had majority Green parties. We have, in San Francisco, okay, so since I started, I'll say it, but we have a whole bunch of people who were Greens, but in the supervisors, because it's a city and county of San Francisco. And they changed to Democrats in order to get union endorsements, in order to take the next step and stuff like that. But at some point, there were 6 people that were elected Greens in the city of San Francisco. So we want to make it so strong. We want to make the Green Party so strong that people will stay in it, and that difference is made. The minute you cross that line into the, as Jill very politely calls them, the establishment party, and when I'm not feeling so polite, and especially when I'm talking to a bunch of young people, I call them the Titanic parties, because they are heading straight for the iceberg, and their captains of the ship are not turning aside. But meanwhile, I lost my thought there. But once we really make the point that no corporate money, a corporate candidate, and the reason that people, the real reason that people don't vote Green is that they think Greens can't win. And so we've got to develop that where people get the idea that we can win. And we're working on, a group of us are working on something called specifically the No Corporate Money Campaign, to get that idea out there. I'm looking to create a book, edit a book called 99 Stories of Corporations versus the Rest of Us. And make the point, issue across issue across issue. And anybody that's got any ideas about those, because it's all over the place, where the stories, ideal story, will be where a governmental official who is a corporate, who ran with corporate money, makes a decision that harms, particularly, that harms the rest of us, that harms our kids, that harms our families, our elders, and all of us, that we really get that point across, issue after issue after issue. So those candidates that can win, they may win, but we don't when they get in. And so we need to, grow the Green Party, grow the idea of no corporate money, so that we can get in there and.
Yeah. So we were thinking it would be good to just open the conversation up and to let you, share your thoughts. And I'm going to come around with a microphone too to be sure that you get captured for posterity here. So questions, thoughts, comments? Yeah.
How's this, your presidential candidate?
It's Phil Donahue.
It's great. She should have her own show.
Yeah, I just want to make a distinction between privatization and corporatization. Privatization, I think it started when they're trying to get rid of the government control. So if you look at the military-industrial complex, if they can get a direct hand into the treasury without the government control, then it becomes privatization rather than, corporatization is really talking about, you don't want corporate money, to get too big, So I think there's a distinction between the two.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. So the point was that it can be complicated, saying that privatization equals corporatization, that there are some differences. And that's true. And in my experience, you want to use language that people around you understand. And one of the best things I ever learned in a campaign, I'm going to come around here just so people can hear. Somebody said to me once, early on, if you're educating, you're losing. You may be teaching, but you're losing. You got to start where people are. And if you're teaching them what corporatization is, or even privatization, you got a problem. You know, you've got to talk in plain, simple language about the things that are bothering people. And there's some, in my experience, who really get corporatization, and they're up in arms about it. And you know, that's really great if they are. You can sort of start from that point of shared understanding. And there are others who are really, you know, they've been very educated about privatization, about how our school system or our healthcare system that's supposed to be for us is now for private profits. You know, and to be specific about what about privatization is bad, because in some people's view, it's good. You know, break up the government monopoly, it may be good. So you need to really be very clear about the language that you use. I find it very helpful to look at other people's campaigns and their agendas, their policy statements. Right now, there's a candidate running for city council in Washington, D.C. named Perry Red. We sent out an email blast about him the other day. And by the way, if you're not signed up yet, go to my website, jillstein.org, and just get on the email blast, because some really exciting stuff is coming up very soon that you will hear about through that. But anyway, we were helping to profile Perry, and he just has the really, boy does he have the language down. He's been kind of a community advocate and organizer for decades. And he's been through the ringer. He was in the prison system for quite some time too. So, I mean, he's really seen life from the school of hard knocks, and he's a very powerful community advocate because of that. His central focus in running for school committee is actually to stop the school closings. He's the only candidate, if I'm not mistaken right now, for their city council that is against school closings. So that's a way to be really concrete about your issue, as opposed to using words like privatization and corporatization that don't make sense in a city council campaign. People want to know really what the issue is. Let me pass this over to Laura.
But I want to say one quick thing about that is that something I heard recently, and it was by David Cobb, who's with Move to Amend, and he's going all over the country, and ran as a presidential candidate a few years back, 2004, I think. But what he said, and this is a place to use corporate, is like there isn't a liberal media and a conservative media. There's a corporate media. And just to make that clear, it's a corporate media. That's what we're facing, whether they talk liberal, talk conservative, or talk whatever. So that's one time, and everybody knows it's a private media, you know, but that's one time that we can help to clarify for people what's going on, you know, why it all feels off to them.
Great.
You
Okay,
need-
let's see.
I can just ask the question.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
She talked about holding these candidates accountable who've taken corporate money. How do you find out if they've taken corporate money?
Okay.
Center for Responsive Politics.
Yeah, Center for Responsive Politics is one site. Most, let's see, legislative campaigns and higher campaigns and many large city campaigns require public disclosure. And so you can find out on your campaign finance watchdog website for your state. Whoever the body is that you would report to as a candidate, they have to publish those results. If they're collecting data, they have to publish them. So you can actually get donor lists right off the website. And then if it's larger campaigns, yeah, then like Center for Public Integrity and stuff like that, opensecrets.org, there are a number of websites that follow them.
OpenSecrets.org, that's one of them that I was trying to think of. And also there's MapLight, which I heard about on the radio. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But evidently what it does is it makes those links between the campaign contributions and the decisions that people are making, whether it's on the climate or letting that stupid little GMO thing into the budget bill and things like that. So MapLight, and here in California, apparently what they're doing it for is the U.S. and the state of California. So check that out.
How do you spell that?
MapLight, M-A-P, MapLight.
Okay.
What I heard on the radio.
L-I-G-H-T.
M-A-P-L-I-G-H-T.
We'll all look it on our
Actually
phone
heard it on
here.
the radio, and Mike's gonna check it out and let us all know.
I figure it's good.
Maplight.org/California for those of us here in California.
M-A-P-L-I-G-H-T?
Great,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, as in L-I-G-H-T, yeah.
Other
Not Bud Light.
thoughts,
Map
Yeah.
comments?
I go back here.
Sorry, back here? Yeah, all right.
Could we get you to comment on the importance or unimportance of the Committee on Presidential Debates?
Let Jill debate, let Jill debate, let Jill debate.
Yeah, well,
How's the lawsuit going?
how's the lawsuit going, right?
Um,
Well, let's see, shall we say, it may not be on the, in the headlines at the moment, but it is not forgotten.